Hi, friends. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here and stopping by and taking time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here as well. Today, I figured I would run through some of the books that I had on my 2024 TBR, whether they released in 2024 or I just had them on my 2024 TBR that I didn't get a chance to read that I want to bring into the year of 2025. So if you want to see what books are on my TBR for 2025 that I'm bringing over from last year, then go ahead and continue watching. So for 2024, I had a ton of books that I did not get the opportunity to read in the year of 2024. I had a lot that I was going through this last year, and I just didn't reach my reading goal, and that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up for that. Honestly, I read more than I expected to, and that's enough for me. I did set my reading goal a little bit higher this year. So last year was 30. I only read 22 books last year, but this year I am going to try to read at least 50, but I will be prioritizing a lot more smaller books and novellas, and I'm still going to count those towards my reading goal. If it has 2 covers and pages in between, it's a book to me. Therefore, it will get counted towards my reading goal. And I encourage you to think that way too. Don't let anybody else tell you what books are books, whether that be audiobooks, novellas, short stories, whatever you want to count towards your reading goal, count it. That's your reading goal. Emphasis on your. But for the first book that I want to bring from 2024 into 2025 is, I'm pretty sure this one was like really, really hyped up on TikTok. And as you guys know, I love Greek mythology, and I want to prioritize more mythology retellings in the year of 2025, whether it be Greek, Norse, whatever it may be. I do want to prioritize those. For the first book that I want to bring into 2025, it's going to be Circe by Madeline Miller. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And honestly, just from the description, it really caught my eye and really captured my interest. And the cover is beautiful. But the description for this book reads, "In the house of Helios, god of the sun, and the mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Circe is a strange child, not powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes Circe to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus and his doomed son Icarus, the murderous Medea, and of course, wily Odysseus. But there is danger too, for a woman who stands alone, and Circe unwittingly draws the wrath of both men and gods, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of Olympians. To protect what she holds dear, Circe must summon her strength and choose once and for all whether she belongs with the gods she is born from or the mortals she has come to love." This sounds like a very female empowerment, honing your femininity kind of book, and I also do want to read more of those in 2025. I just think there's a beauty in powerful women. So I am excited to, I'm going to say hopefully because I don't want to set myself up for failure here, but hopefully get to Circe in 2025. So kind of staying on that Greek mythology path, I want to bring Song of Achilles into 2025 with me. A lot of my friends have read this book and they love it, and I want to read this book as well. I want to prioritize, specifically with my romance reads, branching out into different subgenres of romance. I found that with my 2024 romance reads, I kind of stuck to very similar romance reads, so it felt a little bit repetitive by the end of the year. So I do want to kind of reach further into those subgenres and explore a little bit and kind of see where my interests lie in different subgenres within the romance category. So I've heard a lot of good things about Song of Achilles, and I've heard that the love story is beautifully tragic, and I think I want to read more beautifully tragic love stories. But the description for this book reads, "Achilles, the best of all the Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess Thetis and the legendary king Peleus, is strong, swift, and beautiful, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus is an awkward young prince exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an inseparable bond, despite risking the gods' wrath. They are trained by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine, but when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all of the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear from his friends, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both, as never before, and demand a terrible sacrifice. I can already tell that this book is going to be, like I said, beautifully tragic, and I just think that The Song of Achilles is a great book to bring into 2025 with me. So for another romance book that I want to bring into 2025 with me, that is going to be Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. This is a sapphic love story, and from what I hear, it's one of the best sapphic love stories out there right now, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. And not even just Outdrawn in general, but any of Deanna Gray's books. She just has this way with her writing, from what I hear from my friends, that really hooks you and keeps you interested in the story. And if there's one thing that I love, it's a writing style that instantly hooks me and has me wanting to jump headfirst into the book if that was possible. But Outdrawn, the description reads as follows. It says, "It isn't always lonely at the top. Noah Blues finally got her foot in the door after clawing her way to the top of the charts with her webcomic. She's garnered enough attention to earn a full-time position at a comic company that's relaunching the cult classic comic, Queen Lisa. Queen Lisa is predicted to be an instant bestseller with movie deals already in the making. Things are falling into place. There's nowhere to go but up. As soon as she gets one person out of her way, Sage Montgomery has always been the best artist in every building she's ever stepped foot in. Raw talent's gotten her webcomic to the top of the charts every month for the past 8 years. She's been the best for as long as she can remember. Sure, her career has plateaued, but that can be fixed with a big-name comic release. She was promised full creative control over Lisa. What she got was a shared credit with the one artist who's been breathing down her neck since college. The one artist who has a fighting chance at being better than her. Sage and Noah have to work as a team, or at least appear to work as a team. They thought the hardest part of the relaunch would be drawing together, but that's easy in comparison to resisting their feelings for each other." Another thing that I love in romance books is denying your emotions for somebody and just thinking that you're going to be able to deny them, and it just never works out that way. That's another one of my favorite tropes, you could say. I don't know what the exact title for it is, but I am excited to bring Outdrawn into 2025. So this next book that I want to bring into 2025 with me has been out for a really, really long time. For those of you that don't know, I am a huge musical theater nerd. I was a choir kid growing up. I never ever got the chance to do musical theater myself. But if I could go back in time and do musical theater, I would. But I don't have the acting chops for that. With that being said, I do want to bring not just these two books that I'm going to show you right now, but the entirety of this series, because I do want to read it before a certain date next year, so that way I am fully educated on the content I am consuming when I go see this movie in theaters next year. But that is Wicked and Son of a Witch. Now, I personally have a special edition copy. I think if I remember correctly, this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I thrifted it at my local thrift store, and it is in pristine condition. I don't know if you can tell, but there are gold sprayed edges with this book. And this book is just beautiful. But Wicked is my favorite musical, and I saw the show recently, not last year. I saw the Broadway show 2 years ago in 2022. I think it was my second or third time seeing it, but I was able to take my husband for the first time, and he loved it. And the movie premiered on my birthday this year, so I was able to see that as well. Part 2 does premiere the day before my birthday next year, so I will be seeing Part 2 in theaters the day before my birthday next year. But I do want to bring Wicked and Son of a Witch, as well as the other books in this series, into 2025 with me, because I want to have a more well-rounded thought process about why Elphaba's doing what she's doing in comparison from the books to the musical theater show. So I am excited to hopefully, I say hopefully because who knows, I'm going to at least try to get these two done. I don't know about the whole series, but I am excited to at least read Wicked and Son of a Witch in 2025. This next book is a little bit intimidating to me. I am not the best at understanding. I don't have a physical copy of this book, by the way, but I am not the best at understanding some books that have themes of academia and dark academia in them. But I've just heard so many amazing things, not only about this book, but about this author. So I want to read it in 2025. It will be my first ever book by this specific author. And I'll put a picture here since I don't have the book. But that is going to be Babel by R.F. Kuang. I just have heard amazing things between Yellowface, between her new book that she just announced recently, and then Babel, that her writing is just amazing. And she has a lot of influential themes in her books, and I want to be consuming some of the books that I'm reading a little bit more responsibly and being able to learn new things from different perspectives. So I do want to prioritize some authors that do that as well too, and I hear R.F. Kuang is a really good place to start with those kind of themes in books. So I'm excited to potentially, hopefully I will prioritize this one, read Babel in 2025. So 2 books I know I will absolutely be reading in 2025 because this author swiftly climbed into my top 5 authors of all time, immediate auto buy. I don't even care what the book is about. I will never read a description. I will just immediately buy the book. That is going to be not only Celestial Monsters by Aiden Thomas, but as well as Espiritu by Aiden Thomas. That's not out until September of 2025, but I'll post a picture here of what the cover looks like. Espiritu is a part of the Cemetery Boys series. That is going to be, I'm pretty sure, from Julian's perspective. And then you have the Celestial Monsters, which is book 2, and I'm pretty sure this is only a duology, so this should wrap up the story. Don't quote me on that, though. But this is part of the Sunbearer Trials. I absolutely fell in love with the Sunbearer Trials this last year, as well as the Cemetery Boys. I will say that I like the Cemetery Boys just a little bit more. That book had me laughing and feeling all of the emotions, and I'm just so excited for Espiritu to come out later this year. But I will be reading Celestial Monsters in 2025. And the reason that I loved these books so much is because Aiden Thomas has such a way of infusing culture and just the history of those cultures into his books that is so interesting. All of his stories are very, very rich in Latin culture, and I just am so enamored by the worlds that he creates. Specifically, I'm pretty sure the community, or the community, the world that he created in the Sunbearer Trials is Reino del Sol. And right now with the Celestial Monsters, after book 1, things have entirely hit the fan, and we got to figure out how to figure them out, and get things back to normal. So I am excited to read the Celestial Monsters in 2025. So staying on that fantasy kick, I want to get back into my fantasy era in 2025. It's really important to me to get back into my fantasy era because fantasy is just the root of who I am as a person. I've always been a huge dreamer, and I need to get back into that side of myself where I continue to dream and dream big and want to achieve big things for myself. So that's a huge goal that I have for myself in 2025. But another book series that I want to take from 24 into 25 is going to be the Legendborn cycle. And that is Legendborn, Bloodmarked, and then I think in 2025, the book that she's coming out with is Oathbound. If you know, you know. I have never heard anything but amazing things about this specific book series. There's going to be 5 books in total, I'm pretty sure. But I've heard that Tracy Deonn has absolutely taken the story of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and just did a big thing with it, and it's amazing, and I've never heard anything bad about Legendborn, so I do want to bring Legendborn with me into 2025, and I'm excited to dive into the world that she's created with these books. So for the last book series that I want to bring with me into 2025 from 2024, that is going to be all of the books that I know that look exactly like this that are written by F.T. Lukens. And the only ones that I have right now are In Deeper Waters and So This Is Ever After. I know there's 2 more, and I know one of them is called Otherworldly. I will post their pictures right here so that way you guys can see them. But I was recommended this series by a friend who says that they are just cozy LGBTQ fantasy books, and they just give you all of the vibes of a good adventure. And if there's one thing I love, it's a fantasy book where you go on a great adventure. And I think these are a part of a series, but I think they are individual standalone books. I don't know if there's an order that you have to read them in. I don't think there is. Do not quote me on that. Do your research. But yeah, I'm excited to bring these ones into 2025 with me. Another thing that I want to prioritize in 2025 is LGBTQ books, as well as books with mental health representation, as well as disability representation as well. So if you have any recommendations for books that are LGBTQIA friendly, or they're written by LGBTQIA authors, I would appreciate that down below, as well as any books with any type of representation that you think matters and that we need more of in this world. Go ahead and leave those recommendations down in the comments for me, and I will check them out and add them to my TBR. So those are all of the books from 2024 of note that were on my 2024 TBR anyway, that I want to bring with me in 2025. Do you have any books from your 2024 TBR that didn't make it into your actual end of the year wrap up that you want to bring into 2025? If so, leave them down below. I could use all the recs, and I love hearing what you guys are interested in and what your favorite books are. But with that being said, that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful week wherever you are. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.